Over the past few years, we've been able to substantially increase our understanding of the temporal and spatial scales of fluvial adjustments and the connectivity of historic channel management and floodplain encroachments and other human activities that result in big changes, catastrophic changes in response to storm events that dramatically affect us today, culturally, economically, and from a public safety perspective.
Hello, my name is Mike Klein, and I'm the River Science Coordinator with the Vermont Agency of Natural Resources River Management Program. With funding from the State Clean and Clear Water Action Program, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this video series highlighting the State River Management Program to protect, manage, and restore Vermont rivers. I hope that you'll find each of the short videos to be a helpful introduction to the river science and assessment used to guide river management, as well as the key river restoration and protection programs that have been developed to address river instability. The Vermont River Management Program has undergone a significant transformation over the past decade. For 20 years, until the late 90s, the program was primarily involved with permitting stream alterations to resolve conflicts between river dynamics and human investments. Engineers went from one spot fix to the next, often dealing with repeated stream bank and structural failures following each flood event. During the 1990s, Vermont experienced 5 major floods and spent over $60 million to recover. This led to the passage of Act 137, which required the state to look closely at flood damages and come up with a plan for reducing flood-related losses. This evaluation was a major turning point in our relationship with rivers and provided a rare opportunity for the state to look at and become informed about the emergence of river science and engineering techniques that could explain why traditional flood recovery methods were failing. Acknowledging past failures was a first big step in changing Vermont's river management program. Searching for new engineering techniques that would provide science-based methods for avoiding flood hazards exposed Vermont river managers to new applications, many of which involved understanding river mechanics in terms of fluvial geomorphology. This is a science that explains how rivers work and form in different settings. Principal to the adoption of a fluvial geomorphic approach to river management was the understanding that avoiding and mitigating flood damage would not have to be done at the expense of water quality and aquatic habitat. Fluvial geomorphology and managing toward the natural tendencies of a river has become an organizing principle for watershed planning in Vermont and a way to achieve river corridor management so that Vermonters may have an economically and ecologically sustainable relationship with their rivers, one where fluvial erosion hazards are reduced by avoiding conflicts between human investments and rivers, where water quality is improved by attenuating flow, sediment, and nutrient loads at a watershed scale, and where biological integrity is restored by accommodating the river and riparian processes that create and maintain diverse aquatic habitats. A convergence of these goals is possible by managing rivers toward their naturally stable equilibrium condition. River studies from around the world have shown that the laws of physics govern the complex and yet predictable process of rivers adjusting toward their most probable, stable form, resulting in the least amount of erosion over time. The shift in emphasis to the protection of river corridors to accommodate river equilibrium conditions has changed the program's approach to problem solving and its interactions with people by trying to resolve conflicts primarily through avoidance rather than retrofits and bank stabilization. This work is being done through an incentives-based educational program and by creating greater consistency among the myriad of state and federal regulatory, and assistance programs. Science-based, multi-objective project designs, introducing sediment transport processes into a state river management program that traditionally focused on chemical, biological, and hydrologic components of the river environment, has won Vermont's program regional, national, and even international recognition. The Vermont River Management Program combines conflict resolution involving regulatory and non-regulatory actions, public outreach and education, and river assessments, technical assistance, and grant programs to support proactive river corridor planning, protection, and restoration projects with landowners and municipalities. For instance, if you manage roads, bridges, and culverts, the River Management Program can provide assessment and design assistance to try to upgrade the replacement of a structure that has failed repeatedly due to its incompatibility with the physical processes of a stream. For example, we give assistance to redesign undersized culverts that have failed due to the lack of sediment transport through the structure. If you own or operate a farm and stream bank erosion is an issue, the River Management Program will work with agricultural agencies and watershed organizations to assess and design stream corridor restoration and protection projects and, when possible, provide funding for projects which accommodate a stable channel geometry and floodplain. It's important to note that sometimes, to work within the constraints of the farming operation, balance the physical imperatives of the river, and attenuate flow and sediment loads, we need to work with adjacent landowners over longer reaches of river than we have in the past. When your plans involve development near a river, the River Management Program will review your proposal under the auspices of the National Flood Insurance Program, Act 250, or its Stream Alteration Permit Program to help you site your development so as to avoid erosion hazards. If you're a town planning commissioner or a select board member and you would like to minimize the town's exposure to flood hazards, the River Management Program will provide technical assistance to complete flood inundation and erosion hazard mapping and design flood hazard reduction and avoidance projects. If you are a town manager interested in the restoration of a stormwater impaired stream, the River Management Program will assist the stormwater program in the design of remediation projects. Many stormwater impaired streams are subject to not only the channel instability associated with increased runoff, but are so channelized and encroached upon that equilibrium conditions of the pre-urban era are not achievable and a new reference condition may be required. If you are a watershed or conservation organization concerned about restoring the biological integrity of a river ecosystem, the River Management Program will provide assessment and technical assistance in the design of river corridor protection projects that will accommodate the large-scale physical processes so important to the stream's ability to create and maintain aquatic and riparian habitat. All of these assessment and technical assistance activities will contribute over the long term to the reduction of sediment and nutrient flowing into the lake. For this reason, the River Management Program has become involved in the Clean and Clear Water Action Plan for Lake Champlain. Managing towards stable equilibrium conditions will provide more channel and floodplain storage to retain sediment and nutrients in the watershed that may otherwise have been eroded into the lake. The River Management Program provides direct staff assistance to projects where possible, but the scale and widespread nature of stream instability requires that we work with and through many partners and develop the public and private funding resources to accomplish program goals on a statewide basis.
There used to be two high banks. You had two high banks coming down and the river stayed right in it. And it would bring all the big boulders down. You can see them all the way up through here. And it'd end up down in the confluence and plugging the Castleton River up.
I think in the past we probably would have looked at a river project like this and dealt with the area of concern. In this case, it was down at the confluence where there was sediment that was constantly building up. And we might have just dealt with that specific area because that's where it appeared the problem was occurring. I think because of geomorphic assessment, we've looked at this entire river and we've realized why there was an issue at the confluence and how upstream these issues were contributing. And I think geomorphic assessment is the tool that lets us look at that big picture.
Well, we knew we had to do something different. We didn't have the money to keep coming down and cleaning it out ourselves, so that's why we got involved, seeing if there's any grants or any money out there where we could come in and fix this and maybe do it right. And we started looking how much it was going to cost, and there's no way one landowner is going to be able to put that kind of money up.
My name is Ethan Swift. I'm a watershed planner with the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. We've been able to use the geomorphic assessment information and bring it back to communities and apply it on the ground in order to implement high priority river projects.
I think science is always a part of any planning decision that you make when you're dealing with the river, but geomorphic assessment is a new type of science and a new tool for us to use when we're looking at river planning.
I think it's everything is going good. Everything takes time, and everybody's got to be patient, neighbors and landowners and everything, and it's ongoing.
Through the governor's and legislature's ambitious Clean and Clear Water Action Plan to reduce nutrient loading and algal growth in the lake, the River Management Program is now able to offer river corridor grants to support 3 categories of river projects. Category 1 grants allow groups to become informed about how river instability and the loss of flood attenuation is affecting the load of nutrients entering the lake. Category 2 grants support project designs to address problems at the appropriate scale. And Category 3 grants are for implementing protection and restoration projects that accommodate the long-term stream equilibrium conditions. This video series is part of a larger public outreach and education program to explain Vermont's new river management program and the science of river dynamics. In addition to the video series, the program has acquired river flumes, which make it possible to see river processes in 30 minutes that may otherwise take years or even decades to play out in a real stream. There are also river fact sheets, written educational materials, and more information about the River Management Program and the Clean and Clear program, which are available through several Agency of Natural Resource web pages. Please watch the other videos in this DVD program to learn more about river dynamics and why it is so important to restore and protect river meanders and floodplains to achieve stable river conditions. The science is clear. The result is a reduction in costly erosion, an improvement in water quality, and a restoration of biological integrity of Vermont's rivers.